and the Board of Education take tenured teachers, remove them from employment, and ultimately fire them for failing to satisfy a vaccine requirement without a hearing? Or is that a violation of Education Law 3020? To find out, you have to read Riley versus Board of Education, but it's 7 pages. Don't have time for that? I've got you covered. This is TLDR, Too Long Didn't Read, where I cover New York Court of Appeals cases, and I try to do it in 5 minutes or less. This is the episode on the case of O'Reilly versus Board of Education. The citation for this case is 2024 New York Slip Opinion 05130, published by the New York Court of Appeals on October 17th of 2024. The issue in this case is whether the Board of Education can place teachers on leave without pay and ultimately fire them, tenured teachers, without giving them a hearing based upon their failure to submit proof of vaccination. To understand and appreciate the context of this case, the helpful background to know is that under Education Law 3020, New York's Education Law 3020, tenured teachers have protections, have due process rights to not be discharged or to not be placed on leave without pay without a full-blown hearing under 3020-A. And so Education Law 3020-A explains the entire procedural history, entire process and procedure for actually conducting one of those disciplinary hearings. It says no charges under the section shall be brought more than 3 years after the occurrence of the incident of alleged incompetency or misconduct. That's the statute describes it, that the hearing is about incompetency or misconduct, except when the charge is of misconduct constituting a crime when committed. All right, so what are the facts in this case? The facts are that in August of 2021, as we all know, the city of New York and indeed the world was dealing with a pandemic of that the world hadn't dealt with in more than 100 years of COVID-19. And on August 23rd of 2021, the FDA approved the first COVID-19 vaccine. The health commissioner of New York City, Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, determined it was necessary for the health and safety of the city and its residents to require vaccination. And so it issued a mandate requiring the Board of Education to require its staff to provide proof of vaccination by a certain date. They noted that the CDC recommended that school teachers and staff be vaccinated as soon as possible because it's the most critical strategy to help students safely return to resume full in-person operations. The UFT, which is United Federation of Teachers, which is the biggest union representing tenured teachers, started negotiating with the Board of Education. That negotiation broke down, ultimately went to arbitration, and they issued an impact award establishing mechanisms for vaccine requirements and a timeline. That impact award said that any Board of Education employee who had not requested an exemption or who had requested an exemption that was denied may be placed by the Board of Education on leave without pay, and placement should not be considered a disciplinary action for any purpose. And if they did not satisfy it by 12/1, by December 1st, Board of Education could unilaterally separate from employment from these employees, meaning fire them. The plaintiffs here are several teachers, tenured teachers, who are placed on leave without pay and then ultimately discharged by the Board of Education because they did not provide sufficient proof of vaccination by that date. They then filed a claim. They filed a claim to a lawsuit to vacate the impact award and said, you've discharged us and you've put us on leave without pay without giving us our 3020-A hearing, which is required by New York's education law. 4 judges denied the petition. It goes to the appellate division. They affirmed the decision and dismissed the petition. It goes to the Court of Appeals. And here the Court of Appeals analyzes whether this COVID-19 vaccine requirement is proper. Is it a proper basis to discharge them, to place them on leave without pay, and ultimately fire them? Or was it a violation of their rights to a hearing? They say that the ultimate holding here is the plaintiffs were not entitled to a hearing. Why? Because tenured teachers are entitled to a hearing when they're faced with disciplinary proceedings, but not when it's a condition of employment. So what's the difference? A disciplinary proceeding is about related to job performance, misconduct, or competency, just like the statute said. Misconduct or incompetency. A condition or term of employment relates to the eligibility for employment. So here, the BOE, the Board of Education, made the vaccine requirement a condition of employment, not a disciplinary violation. So when the teachers failed to properly get their vaccine proof on time, That was a failure to satisfy the eligibility, the terms and conditions of employment, not a violation of disciplinary proceedings, not misconduct or incompetency. And for that reason, the protections of 3020A do not apply here, and the petition is dismissed. And that's the case of O'Reilly versus Board of Education. Have a good day. If you like what you just saw and want to see more just like it, please hit like or subscribe to let me know.